today for our educational series today, I'm going to show you a really wonderful technique for shortening a horse's mane without having to pull the mane out of their neck. So everybody knows that horses detest that. They detest having the manes pulled. But it's a necessary evil. It's something that we have to do so that the manes are short enough for the performance horses that they could be braided. However, my assistant Amy and I, way back in 2010, discovered this method of shortening their manes where you don't have to pull it out of their necks. It's not an unpleasant experience, yet it looks very, very natural and it looks fantastic. It can also be done with a pulling comb. They make pulling combs now. You can buy pulling combs where you back comb and then there's sort of a scissor within the comb. You back comb, cut, back comb, cut, back comb, cut. So with that way you can do it yourself. But I find that this way is much faster and still looks fantastic. You just need an assistant. So this is my beautiful assistant. This is Betsy. We love Betsy. She just turned 18 like a moment ago. A couple days ago.
Yeah, it was November 30th.
A couple days ago, Betsy turned 18, but she was my 17-year-old. She's wearing my coat because it's cold here in Northern California. I'm wearing all my vests because it's cold here in Northern California. So we're just going to run through this process. Anybody can do it. It just takes a little bit of practice and it takes two people. I've gotten really good at the back combing part. So that might take a little bit of practice. The cutting part, you could have your husband come and do it. You could have your child do it. The cutting part is a no-brainer. It doesn't take any technique whatsoever. All right? So it doesn't really matter where you start. Okay, first you need to stand on something tall if it's a taller horse like this. So I should introduce you. This is Rosalina. This is a warmblood mare named Rosalina. Rosalina, back up a little so they can see your pretty face. So this is Rosalina. She is a beautiful warmblood mare. She's 13 years old. She's 16 one hands. She is registered and imported Zwiebacker, such a difficult word for me to pronounce. Sort of the equivalent of a Rhinelander, a German warmblood. Lovely mare. She's a dressage horse. She will be for sale in a couple weeks. She is in the Clarity Performance Horse Sales training and sales program. Now that we have introduced her, Betsy and I are going to show you how we do this. So just get something to stand on. Muck bucket. Obviously that muck bucket would be a lot more stable. I'm kind of a ding-dong and for TikTok, I'm kind of a ding-dong, and I stand on a bucket, but you can stand on whatever you want. And then you can start wherever you like, okay? So Betsy already combed her mane out for me. So the first thing you do is comb out the whole mane. Now, the other thing we need to talk about is this is what we call a pasture horse mane. So it's long, it's just a natural mane. It's just not a performance horse mane, it's a pasture horse length. Now all of you that are into long maned horses, obviously the longer and thicker the mane the better. So if it's a Frisian or an Arabian or any of the Andalusians or any of those that are not fully in the performance horse disciplines, obviously we want the manes like this, but we're going to transform this mare from what I call her pasture mane to her performance length mane. One other thing you guys should know is this mare did have a baby a couple months ago in August. It's now December. In August she had a baby, and unfortunately the day after the baby was born it went to baby horse heaven. But she's just getting her figure back. She's been with us for about a month. She's just getting her figure back, and she was in Idaho when she was pregnant and having her baby, and so we just let her mane, the owner just let her mane grow naturally. So this is what I call a pasture horse mane. Do not take offense, people that want long manes on horses, please don't take offense. But what we're going to do today is we're going to show you a really wonderful method to shortening the mane to a performance horse length, to a dressage length, without causing any pain or irritation to the horse. All right, so you really can start anywhere. It really doesn't matter. But what you're going to do is you're just going to back comb, and then your assistant will cut. And it's a lot better if we have scissors that actually cut. So I'm just starting anywhere. It doesn't matter. You can start there. You can start here. It doesn't matter where you start. You just start somewhere. You back comb, and you cut. Okay? And then you get it to the length that you're gonna want it. So I'll discuss with you guys in a moment. Mare, no, don't shake your head. That makes it hard on me. So I'll discuss with you guys in a moment. Mare, don't do that. I'm not gonna pull it. I'm not pulling it. She's expecting me to pull it, and so when I back comb, she's shaking her head because she thinks that we're gonna pull it, but in a moment, she's gonna realize that we're not gonna pull it, and she's gonna stop doing that. Okay, so let's get it a little, Mare, don't. Mare, don't, you're okay. I'm gonna go a little shorter. In a moment, she's gonna realize we're not gonna pull it, and then she's gonna stop shaking her head. Yeah. So the reason she's shaking her head, you guys, is because when you traditionally pull their manes, you back comb and you pull it out of their neck. So you back comb and you yank and you pull it out of their neck. And that's how we traditionally shorten and thin their manes. You back comb, you wrap it around, and you yank. And as you can see, she doesn't like it. And horses don't like it. They will tolerate it, but they don't like it. Some horses have to be drugged to do it. Because they get sort of frantic, because they really don't like it. So it's good that I showed you guys that. So what's happening with Miss Rosalina, God, I love Betsy. What's happening with Rosalina is she's accustomed to that, okay? So what's happening is, as soon as I back comb, she's preparing for the yank. And that's why she's shaking her head, okay? But in a minute, once she realizes that we're going to back comb and cut, and it's not going to hurt, she's going to stop fretting, all right? We're going to kind of rework her muscle memory and teach her that when we back comb, we're not then going to yank. We're going to back comb and it's not going to hurt. So Betsy's going to come over and cut this section. Can you see that okay? And then the mare's going to realize it doesn't hurt, okay? Now, most horses don't shake their heads constantly. It's just going to take her a moment to settle into this. So what we're doing is we're just taking this one section and we're trying to get it about the length that we're going to want it at the end of it all. All right? So about like that. Now, there are different lengths depending on what There are different lengths depending on what performance you're going to be doing. All right? So I'm going to go a teeny bit shorter for a dressage length. I'm just going to make this very difficult. Betsy knows what to do. Okay, so a dressage length is about there. All right, that's about a dressage length. All right, Betsy, you could back up a little bit. It'll make it easier on Anna. So a dressage length of a mane for a typical dressage is about this long. Jumper can be a little longer. Jumper, you can go to about here. Hunter is short. So for a hunter mane, they have to be about this long, and they have to be pretty thin to be able to braid them with the hunter braids. So the hunter manes really have to get quite short and quite thin to be able to do proper hunter braids, all right? The dressage people, we do button braids, and so it's perfectly okay for the mane to be about this long. Jumpers usually don't braid them when they compete, and so they'll leave them about this long, all right? Even if you're not braiding the horse, so say we're not competing anymore, I'm actually retired from competition, I don't compete anymore, we still give the performance horses the performance height, the performance length manes. I usually go with the dressage length. I never go hunter length because I'm not doing hunter braids. So I usually go with the dressage length, and that's what we're going to put on this mare. And even regardless of showing, it just shows off their necks really, really nicely. They just look really beautiful when they've got a dressage length mane. It really shows off their necks, and they look much more performance-like when they have a performance horse mane length. So Betsy and I are going to see if we can get this mare to let us shorten her mane without her shaking her head every moment. So Betsy, let's just tackle this.
Alrighty.
So I'm just going to work my way down, Anna, towards her wither. And when their manes are this long, you just kind of get started, you know, and you just roll along. We're just going to kind of get it sort of kind of where we want it. And the mare hopefully will start cooperating and stop shaking her head every moment. So the trick to pulling manes, Anna, is you want it to look natural. You don't want it to look cut, all right? And that's why we use this method, is to keep it from looking like it's cut. So if you look at a horse's mane and it looks like it's been cut, you know, along the bottom, it looks pretty cruddy. We really don't want that. We want it to look like it's been pulled. Oh, 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 oh. Girl, you're okay. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. Usually by now they've realized that it's not going to hurt and they stop shaking their head, so she's definitely not super happy about this. Let's just get this part done. Good girl.
Good
Oh, oh, girl. Good girl. And then you just keep, you know, combing it out, making sure that you're about where you want to be. The mare's not happy. Okay. Girl. Clearly, she's had her mane pulled many times and does not want that to ever happen again. So that's why she's being reactive. See these little longer ones? Let's just grab those ones. And then in a moment I'll step back and you can see the progress we've made. Oh, mare. Oh, mare. You're okay. You're okay. I'm not hurting you. Oh, oh. I'm not hurting you. Relax. 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 So in a moment, Betsy, will you take her face for me?
Yes.
See if you can get her to stop worrying. But this is, okay, so this is case in point, all right? So this isn't a bad thing, really. This shows you how much horses actually detest having their manes pulled the traditional way. So the reason that the mare is so frantic is because she thinks we're going to pull her mane the traditional way. And we're not. We're just going to back comb and cut, back comb and cut, back comb and cut. It'll look totally natural. It will not look like it's been chopped, cut. It'll look really natural and beautiful on the ends. You will not be able to tell the difference between it being traditionally pulled out of their neck and done in our method. However, the mare has been programmed to be upset about the whole thing. There, so you guys can see the difference. So in just a few moments of time with Betsy and I, you see the difference between her pasture horse mane and her new performance horse mane. And then we just continue with the process and we keep going. Okay, so now you can really see the difference, and we've only been working for a few moments, and you can really see the difference between her long pasture length baby horse, well, mom horse, broodmare horse mane, and then the pretty little performance mane that we're creating, and that's a really nice dressage length. And the whole point of this is that it doesn't look chopped. You never want it to look cut off like a page boy. You always want it to look natural, and you can really see the difference now. And if Anna points to the ground, you will see what comes off of them. Is by the time you're done, you have piles and piles of hair, of mane on the ground. But this really, really gives you a good idea of how beautiful it's gonna look and the difference between the performance horse mane and her pasture mane. Okay, so we're gonna keep. Okay, so here's our final product. So Betsy and I just finished doing her mane with our own special technique, and you see it looks fantastic. It looks totally natural. The mare was expecting us to pull her mane the traditional way, and so she was a little bit worried. So it took a little longer than normal, but you can see it looks really nice, and the whole point of this is it really shows off their necks. So it really does make them look better as a performance horse. So there's that, and if Anna points to the ground, this is how the ground ends up looking after you finish pulling their manes properly. We'll see you next time.